which is an L, and instead of me going over this, let me go to the value. The 30 alphas 1, top 300, 5, 10, 50, 70, 200, and it totaled to 666. The reason he did this, which is very unique, is because the Roman Mass was done in Latin. And so he was trying to tie in what some of the reformers thought, that the Roman system was the B system. So here's what I'm trying to say. You can go on and on and on. I stand here to show you just some of the most interesting little things that have happened for 1,500 years where men have come along and tried to get a 666. Dear Lord, you know Bill Clinton was 666, but you had to use the English language to get him. Sorry, that doesn't count. I had a man tell me John F. Kennedy was still alive in South America, had a deadly wound to the head, was in a wheelchair, and they took a picture of him and put it in the National Enquirer. Said he's coming back. Okay. Yes, amen. All kinds of people have tried to calculate 666, but it is not just the name of a man, it's a system of buying and selling. Let me go through the history of our day and time. Here's the history of what has been interpreted to be 666, or the mark of the beast, for the past several years. Number one, the theory of the barcode that came in 1973. In the USA, it's called the UPC Universal Product Code, or the barcode for the grocery industry. It is used to speed up purchases and prevent cashier errors. It has 7 units with 4 different markings on them. And all those numbers have various codes, etc. In 1982, there was a book written in which it said that the 666 was hidden within that mark. Now, here's the thing about that mark, that when they said that would be the mark of the beast, that I had trouble with, and the older I've got to see that we would really have trouble with that. I don't know of a woman in the United States that's going to stick that on her head. Or her hand. Not like that, at least. And they would cover it up with makeup. I mean, can't you see women go into the store and say, oh, your bar looks so good. Oh, yours is great. But this was a teaching that came out, and everybody got all thrilled and excited about it. And then we found out it was just a product code that went on food. Number 2, the second theory came around, called the ISO 9000E theory. This came out in the 1990s. This was standard for quality. 14,000 products were linked to it, including environmental management. It's a special mark that's placed on the product, and once the quality control has been confirmed. It was used in Europe and EU countries, and was expanded to companies trading with them. Europe would not buy the products unless these quality control marks were on the product. So in other words, if you're in the United States and you're selling to Europe, to sell in Europe, you have to have quality control mark, quote unquote, ISO 9000 mark on it. Once again, this deals with product quality control. It does not deal with humans buying or selling. And here, there again, there was a lot of excitement about this, and it sort of died away. Number 3, this one is very, very interesting. www.com. Now look at this very carefully.
Ooh.
When you go on the World Wide Web, you go www. Now you just look up the name, but www.worldwideweb is how it originated. Now if you translate back to Hebrew, it's simply 3 Hebrew letters. It's a vav, and a vav, because the vav can be a W or a V in Hebrew, right? Guess what that vav in numerical values equals to? A 6, a 6, and a 6. Now that's
oh my
interesting.
God.
I have to confess to you, that's quite interesting, because World Wide Web, simply www, translated to Hebrew is vav, and it would translate in numerical value to a 6, and a 6, and a 6. Is everybody still here? Well, that's all interesting, but the technology really got bizarre, because what we came up with later, or the technology of America and Europe and different places of that, came up with right-hand scanners. Can everybody say right-hand scanners? Look at this very carefully. This takes 90 different measurements of the hand, including the thickness of the palm and the thickness of the hand. It gives 90 measures, or 90 individual numbers, 90 measures, and translates them to individual numbers that can be stored or transferred to a card. Woo! Your fingerprint, face recognition, and eye scanners have all been developed. And by the way, this scanner is used, and you'll know where it is, at a national theme park. We had a card to this park that was 3 years old, that they had scanned the numbers on my hand on a card. I showed up 3 years later with that card. They put your hand in the scanner, sir. I did, and it was still on that card 3 years later. So what they do this for is so that nobody can steal your card and run up a bill, and it come to your name or your hotel. You understand what I'm saying? So now look, to be honest, that's pretty cool technology, but I'm telling you how freaky it is when you put your right hand. Not your left. Why the right? Why can't we do the left hand? That's got to be your right hand. Right hand, sir. When the guy told me that it numbered my fingerprints and stored them on a file, y'all ain't hearing me. I'm thinking, wow, where is technology going? Then in the 1990s, when I was in Florida, a gentleman shared with me that there was going to come something, and in fact, he said to me this was on the space shuttle, and I know it for a fact it was because he could contact the space shuttle from where he was on a computer. He had all the satellite dishes in his yard. I'm not going to say any more than that. But this was an RFID chip, and I'm going to be talking about this a little bit later. This chip is in a glass case. It has a lithium battery implanted on the inside of it. And the idea is that when you implant this, now listen carefully, this is no joke, this is not an internet rumor, into the right hand or the hairline of a person on their forehead, it stores information about you. 2.5 million people, I have been told, have been testing this. Some of them are in Mexico, many in the United States. I will tell you what a doctor said in just a few moments. And this is very interesting because this has also been used for pets, for tracking pets. If a pet is lost, they've also used it in some nations to put in rich, wealthy people, so if they are ever kidnapped, they'll be able to track them by satellite. It is a tracking device and a storage information device that retrieves information, listen to me again, planted in the right hand, right there. Come back, guys, where everybody can see this. Right here, which is between the thumb and the finger, and sometimes right between those two fingers right there. 2.5 million people have it. Let's go to one more, the tattoos. There is now an RFID ink, which is called a radio frequency identification ink, that's been tested and proven to work. It is a chipless ink that's been tested on animals, and they now say it's safe for people. I'm not going to give you the name of the company, although I have it. This ink does not contain any metals and can be invisible. Now there's your answer to the ladies who don't want the mark that can be seen. Can be invisible or it can be colored. It is safe for people. It takes, listen to this, you ready? 5 to 10 seconds to stamp it or tattoo it just on an animal. It can be detected by a reading device up to 4 feet away. It uses multiple needles to make imprints on the skin, and it stores data on that from a computer on that. It stores it onto the skin, and it can use up to 15 digits, meaning you have a Social Security number with so many numbers in it. This can store up to 15 digits for every person.